literally nobody talks about how tiring it is to be a new person, to become the new version of yourself. We all say do it, right? You see motivational videos online or you see a creator talking about it. You definitely see me talk about it, especially if you've been around for a minute. I definitely talk about killing the old person off. And I still stand by that. However, I can admit that it gets tiring. It's work. Growth is work. It's not no. Well, you gotta think about it. Common sense wise, yeah, it is work because you're getting out of your comfort zone. You're not being the same person. However, I feel like when we think of work, we usually think of a 9 to 5 or the gym. Working out your body. However, this is a lot of emotional and mental work. There's mental fatigue. There's emotional fatigue. If you ever wonder why you're tired, I slept enough. And I had coffee, but I'm still tired. If you're in this growing process, that is why. I know that's happening to me. I get tired because it's constant work going on. I'm constantly battling. I'm constantly choosing to respond differently. The easier thing to do is to respond to life or live the same way how you've been living. Not trying to change at all. Because that's what our brain does. It creates neural pathways in our minds. And if you do a certain action enough, it becomes automatic in your mind. So your mind doesn't have to think about doing it to save time and energy. That's the purpose. That's what the neural pathways are for. To save time and energy so you don't have to think about doing something and you can place your energy elsewhere. However, if you're growing and you're stepping into something new, you're killing off your old neural pathways and trying to enforce some new ones in your brain. Yeah, that's going to take some work. That's going to take work because you have to repeatedly say, no, I'm not going to do this. Some examples, let's say every time somebody criticizes you, right? You instantly think you're not good enough. That's what you're used to. That's how you're used to responding. Somebody criticizes you about how you spoke or what you're wearing, whatever the case may be, and automatically, usually the old you is like, oh, I'm not good enough. But no, you're trying to build confidence, for example. You're trying to boost your self-esteem, and the new you is saying, I'm still enough. However, you have to actively tell your brain, no, we're not doing that, or just ignore it. Because we don't have to interact with everything. But even that is a challenge. Because if you're anything like me, and you consistently like to battle with your brain, you like to battle your thoughts, you keep on entertaining everything, it's a consistent fight. And when you get into the habit of battling your thoughts, it just becomes automatic. It's an automatic thing. So now for me personally, I'm trying to transition to a point where I'm not battling anymore. I have to train myself to understand I don't have to entertain everything. But that takes work because I have to constantly catch myself. Let's say a thought of a situation pops up or a thought of me wanting to do something later pops up and I'm trying to focus. I have to tell myself, no, I need to focus my attention here. I need to focus my attention here. Or I have to constantly, in a subconscious way or conscious way, tell myself to ignore it. It's work because I'm responding in a way that's different than what I'm used to. It's constant work. This is not even a 9 to 5. I don't want to say it's worse because I don't want to make this sound like a terrible experience. It's 100% worth it. 100% worth it. But this is an experience we never clock out from because we don't typically clock out from ourselves. If that makes sense. Yes, you can do some brain rot activities or engage in activity that will totally disengage you from the inner work that's going on. But let's be for real. You can clock out from a 9 to 5. Like you have 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. all to yourself. You go to the gym at 5 and you leave at 6. You have the rest of the day to yourself. You get what I'm saying? But when it's us, this is me. This is you. You don't really just clock out and abandon from yourself. So this is constant work. But it's just the price we pay. It's the price we pay to become a new person. Identity change, it's not for the weak. It takes constant resilience. It takes constant effort until it becomes more natural. Because that's the goal. That's the goal for everybody. It's to get to a point where it becomes more natural, where you don't have to keep on reminding yourself or telling yourself to respond a certain way, or to ignore a habit or not do the same habits that you used to do. Whatever I'm saying, apply that to whatever goal you have in mind. I don't know your goals, but you know your goals. So whatever I am saying, apply that to your current situation. Apply that to your goal. It could be whether it's a fitness goal, an emotion goal, you want to control your temper, or you want to find more happiness in life. It could be a people skill goal. It could be a financial goal, whatever the case. You apply that to your situation and keep it pushing. All right. So this new person you want to be to accomplish that goal, this is the price we pay. The fatigue. It gets tiring, but it's not like this forever. That's the flip side. And once it becomes automatic, you don't even have to go through this again. You don't. You just got to make sure you don't fall back to your old habits, of course. But I promise you, it gets to a point, it becomes automatic. Same way the habit that you're trying to change is automatic. This new habit that you're trying to establish becomes automatic. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Now we're older and we're more conscious and more aware of what it means to be human and what we're capable of. So before, because the habits that we have and the way that we are today, it's conditioning. We didn't really have the mental capacity to understand that, what has happened to me, things that I go through actually shapes me, and now I'm this. And, now we're trying to change for the better. We're trying to go for the better. And the fatigue is different for everybody. It just depends what you're trying to do. I don't know if you have a small goal or a big one, but the ranges, there's so many different numbers out there. I know y'all seen it only takes 21 days. I think it just depends. It just depends what your goal is and how long you've been doing a certain thing. It can be 21 days. I've seen 21 days, 46 weeks, and I've seen 3 to 6 months. I'm going to be completely honest with you. To feel a really impactful shift, I would say at least a month. I'm not even going to hold you. I think the days leading up to that major shift, because as we're changing, we might notice very minor. And then we wake up one day realizing, whoa, I completely don't do this thing anymore. I completely don't, for example, I don't know, think about smoking anymore. I completely don't feel the need to crash out anymore. I completely don't want to just sit down all day and be complacent. I actually want to, to me, this is my personal experience. I feel like it takes at least a month to feel a major shift in that way. But to feel at least a minor shift, like if we're going off percentages, to feel at least like a 25% shift, I'll say a week. I'm not even gonna lie. Also, depending what it is. Depending what it is. However, I want to wrap this up saying it won't feel like this forever. It's really a small price to pay for the outcome of the rest of your life. I don't know how old you are right now. However, if you have 2 decades ahead of you, 4 decades ahead of you, 6 decades ahead of you, 7 decades ahead of you, this is a small price to pay, even if it takes you a year to shift into whoever you're trying to be. Small price to pay compared to the rest of your life that you have ahead. Okay? Promise you, you won't regret this. I don't regret it. One thing that I had shifted, my nervous system used to be on 10. It's not flight or fight. It's always fight. It was always fight for me. I'm not even gonna hold you. So I'm talking about shallow breaths, racing heart, chest pain, the whole 9. You feel me? Now one day I really got to a point I don't even feel that. I barely even feel that. I can't even remember the last time I felt that. Or worse, when it all happens all at once. I can't even remember right now. That's how long. But I was at a point in my life that was a regular thing for me. And now it's not. You see, I'm at a point I can't even remember when was the last time. I'm living proof and you're living proof as well. And once it becomes automatic, this new thing that you're trying to do, the new identity that you're trying to shift into, it doesn't even take energy in your brain to remember to do it. It just automatically does it. So that energy it took for you to constantly remind yourself and constantly choose and affirm this new identity or this goal or this new thing that you got going on in your life, you're going to get to a point it doesn't take that energy to do it. The new neural pathway is established in your brain, and it got rid of the old one, so it doesn't take all this energy for you to act in this new way that you're acting now. And bottom line, for the life that you want, is this really a big price to pay? You feel me? Like, you really want to, whether it's a car, house, a certain financial income you want annually, a certain body type that you want to be more emotionally intelligent, more knowledgeable, more wise, you want to be more regulated, you want to be more spiritually aligned. This is a small price to pay. You know it. So don't even play yourself, okay? Thank you for tapping in. Make sure you subscribe. I should have said that in the beginning. I'll be forgetting. Make sure you subscribe. We big over here. I had Homer with me today. Had a special guest. Like, hello. Check out my Patreon, Instagrams, TikTok, and my reaction channel. We big over there too. Thank you for tapping in.